Athletes who play racket sports, like tennis or paddle tennis, or athletes who play handball, baseball, with the overhead throwing motion, and I said volleyball.
Right.
I would say tennis players in particular, because when they're doing the overhead serves are at risk of injuring their shoulder. If volleyball players use the overhand serve, if you're playing racket sports where you're hitting overhead smashes, and for baseball players, their throwing motion, particularly pitchers, are all at risk for injuring their shoulder. And when doctors talk about a slap lesion, it's not the motion when you're slapping the ball. It's actually an anatomic turn. It means superior labrum, anterior posterior. And so let me just show you what the labrum is. The labrum is a fibrocartilaginous pad that goes around the socket of the shoulder. The shoulder has a ball, that's the humeral head, and the socket, which is the glenoid. And then there's a gasket that goes around it called the labrum. And this structure coming up over the top is the long head of the biceps. Biceps has two heads. This head comes up over the top of the head of the humerus, or your shoulder, and attaches to the top of the socket of the shoulder, which is your glenoid. So this is the biceps tendon. The labrum goes all the way around the glenoid. This is the front of the labrum, and this is the back. So this is the anterior superior labrum. This is the posterior superior labrum. So a slap lesion is a superior labrum, anterior and posterior. And so what happens is this: when the athlete has his shoulder up in extended overhead position, and he goes to smash the ball or serve the ball in this overhead position, the head of the humerus actually slides forward and backwards and actually injures the labral pad in this superior anterior and posterior position. So it's superior labrum, anterior posterior, SLAP, is why they call it slap lesion. And it's quite a common lesion. You'll see, if we look in with the arthroscope, you'll see that this will actually be frayed or torn. And that is an almost routine injury in professional tennis players, and I'm sure in senior volleyball players who've been using the heavy leather balls and hitting them overhead for any length of time. If you got somebody who had a real hard overhead smash, they almost all will wind up having this kind of an injury.